Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video today. We'll have a bit of a chat about what's going on around the country. We'll go into the press and check out what is happening there. Then at the end of the video, we'll go into the comment section and take a look at what is happening there also. Now, yesterday was a fairly big day for news in Spain. Prime Minister Sanchez spoke to the country, and let's just say that he was pretty happy about the way some things are going in Spain at the moment. He's extremely happy about the way his government is running the country, very happy that his government has kept a lot of the promises they made before they were elected. He said that his government has managed to carry out 33% of pledges that they made in less than 2 years of government. So very happy Mr. Sanchez with that yesterday. He spoke about the social shield and how it's going to be extended until October. If you're not familiar with the social shield, it was set up last year when the pandemic first hit, and its objective is to protect the most vulnerable people in Spain. Some of the main aspects of the social shield are that people can't be evicted from their homes if they can't pay the rent. Landlords are also prohibited from increasing rent prices, and there's also help for people that can't pay their main utility bills, for example, electricity and water. Mr. Sanchez yesterday was also very critical of the opposition parties. He called them destructive and said that they have no place in today's Spain. And he said that the whole country, regardless of people's ideologies, need to move in the same direction. And when it comes to Spain's vaccination plan, he was very, very upbeat indeed. As we can see from this headline in the English version of El País, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said Spain has a gold medal in vaccination. According to latest figures, 55.7% of the population is fully vaccinated, a figure that outstrips the United Kingdom, France and Germany. He said that Spain is the nation that has fully vaccinated the largest share of population out of the 50 largest countries in the world, outstripping the United Kingdom, the US, France and Germany. For this reason, we could say that we have a gold medal in vaccination, said the socialist PSOE leader, who heads a coalition government with junior partner Unidas Podemos. So Spain on the podium when it comes to vaccination, according to Mr. Sanchez, not a bronze medal, not a silver medal, but a gold medal according to him. And just as well they've got a gold medal in vaccination, because at the Tokyo Olympics they ain't got no gold yet, but Mr. Sanchez of course didn't mention the Olympics yesterday. And the 5 words that were most often mentioned by Mr. Sanchez yesterday were, I've got them written down, recovery, momentum, unity, modernisation and dialogue. So the government's plan to modernise Spain high up on the agenda. Now today is another big day for the country. The Prime Minister is going to meet with the autonomous community premiers. They're getting together for a meeting, and 16 of the 17 autonomous community premiers are going to be at that meeting. One is going to be missing, and no prizes for guessing who that is. The Catalan Premier, Mr. Aragonès, is not going to be at the meeting. He has decided not to go, but the other 16 are going to be there, and apparently the main topic for discussion is how they're going to split up those European funds. We'll most likely find out today who's going to get their hands on some of that money and how they're going to spend it. I think a lot of the autonomous communities in Spain are looking forward to getting their hands on some of this cash, and I'm sure some of the big construction companies in those autonomous communities are rubbing their hands with glee. But as usual, not all autonomous premiers are happy, and according to this headline, Madrid Premier Ms. Ayuso has decided to stand up to Mr. Sanchez and is accusing him of blackmail when it comes to the European funds. And that most likely will be the case. Mr. Sanchez will arrive at the meeting today with a black briefcase stuffed full of euros, and he'll say, here's your money, but... Now COVID certificates are again making headlines in the debate whether or not they should be used to allow people to enter the interior parts of public spaces. I think I mentioned yesterday that the Health Department has taken the idea off the table, especially when it comes to implementing it at a national level. The Health Minister the other day said that the main purpose of this certificate was to enable safe travel between European countries, and it wasn't really meant to be used for allowing people to enter restaurants or not. So I think it's now up to the autonomous communities to decide whether they ask for a COVID certificate to enter that type of establishment. We know that in Galicia that is the case in some municipalities. Cantabria also said today that they want to implement their system, and the Canary Islands tried to implement it on one of the islands there, but apparently it has been rejected by the courts. So it looks like COVID vaccine certificates are going to be dominating headlines all summer long. Now, the last piece of news we'll look at today relates to the United Kingdom and the famous pingdemic, and it's making headlines here today in Spain. And according to Antena 3's news, the pingdemic crisis is causing severe supply problems in the UK. A mobile app is the cause of the new crisis that the country is facing that has caused thousands of Britons to be quarantined. And as we can see, a picture of empty supermarket shelves somewhere there. So the pingdemic crisis in the UK forcing a lot of people to go into quarantine, and there's not enough people to stock the shelves. So if you're in the UK at the moment, let us know if the situation is as bad as that headline is leading us to believe. Now we'll leave the news there and go into the comment section and take a look at what is happening there today. One here from Sally Ann Stewart, love your daily information and pithy repartee. Can you please report on the new Novavax vaccine? It's reportedly being made in Galicia, so would hopefully be available here. Yes, Sally Ann, thanks for the comment and good to see that you like the daily videos. To be honest, I'm not 100% up to speed on the vaccine that you mentioned there, the Novavax vaccine. I remember reading about it a few months ago, but haven't heard anything recently. I think they were planning to produce it in Galicia because the company has a factory there, but as we know, here in Spain, all of the vaccine attention has been focused on the ones that are currently in use, the Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca and the Janssen vaccines. So not sure what's happening with the Novavax vaccine, but I imagine that there are plenty of new vaccines in the pipeline, and it's just a question of time before they get approved by the European Medicines Agency. One here from Carmen. I've complied with the Spanish government's Sanidad Department requirement for US citizens to request the travel health certificate online 72 hours prior to planned travel flight time. They responded that they will process my request on the 4th day, and then it will take up to 4 days to email the much sought after QR code to me. Thank goodness that I'm travelling on standby passes as airline staff with no set date. And of course, on the 26th of July, the US Department of State issued a highest level 4-strong warning suggestion to not travel to Spain and Portugal, among other countries, due to the India Delta COVID variant. Yeah, Carmen, thanks for the comment, and obviously continuing with the debate that we have been having on the channel in recent times that it's not easy to travel at the moment. And if you thought it was difficult to travel after 9/11, this has taken it up to a whole new level. QR codes, certificates, tests, warnings, it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. One here from Chris. My girlfriend is not vaccinated yet as she was too young when we left the Canaries, so on return from 6 weeks in mainland Spain, I called AS Mediterranea and asked what she needed for the return trip. They told me she would need a negative antigen test and to fill out the trace forms, so we spent €35 to make the test, but were then very surprised when no one asked us for any documentation whatsoever, not even our ID or passports. Yeah, Chris, thanks for the comment and thanks for pointing that out. You go to the hassle of getting everything you need to be able to travel safely at the moment, certificates, tests, and things like that, and they don't even ask you for them. A couple of people have told me that that was the case. I was talking to a civil guard that works in an airport in Spain, and he told me that the checks are random. He said that there's just not enough people at some airports to check everybody's documents. But what are you going to do? Take the risk? One here from Bjarne. Alicante is a great place in winter as well. Not super hot like in summer, but it shouldn't drop below 15 degrees Celsius or thereabouts. Yeah, Bjarne, thanks for the comment. Obviously referring to a comment that we saw yesterday, somebody from Canada, I think, asking about where are some of the better places on mainland Spain to spend the winter. I said Alicante or Malaga, and you there saying that indeed Alicante is a good place to spend the winter months, as the temperature rarely drops below 15 degrees Celsius. One here from Jack. Thank you, Stuart. We watch your channel every day. You are a constant source of encouragement for future travellers such as us. We booked our trip in June and are anxiously watching the situation go up and down. In reference to your fan that asked about where to winter in Spain, I would suggest Fuengirola near Malaga. We were there in October and the weather was great and most of the tourists were absent. Thanks again from California. Yeah, Jack, thanks for the comment, and you're right, this is a situation which is unfortunately continuously going up and down. And thanks for pointing out that place down there in Malaga, Fuengirola, a nice place to spend the winter months in Spain. I think most of the Costa del Sol area is famous for relatively mild winters. I spent a couple of New Year's Eves a while back in a place called Rincón de la Victoria down there in Malaga, and I remember that the weather was very, very pleasant indeed, especially if you compare it to Madrid. One here from Ed. The UK tourists have the highest regard for Spain as a country, and those of us who come back year after year are coming as friends with the greatest of respect to its language and traditions and achievements. In turn, Spain has always showed itself to be welcoming and interesting and has created a sophisticated hospitality industry to accommodate us, even when we get drunk and make fools of ourselves. We do need each other, long may it continue. Yeah, thanks for the comment, and that's the impression that I'm under. that the majority of people that come down to Spain from the UK have very high regard for the country. It's only a few clowns that don't, but unfortunately they're the ones that leave comments in the comment section. Somebody mentioned the other day that Spain is desperate for British holidaymakers and gave the impression that the country is going to collapse if they don't come. And I've always been under the impression that Spain is very welcoming to tourists regardless of the country they come from. And finally, you want to hear from Danny Stewart. You're wrong. Spain needs British tourists and are desperate, but we want to come. And you seem to get annoyed when answering questions. Stop being via est. Yeah, Danny, thanks for the comment. And I don't get annoyed when reading comments, at least the majority of comments. I only get annoyed when it takes me 10 minutes to work out what the person is trying to say, like, for example, your comment. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'm going to take a few days off, so I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.